Orcas are the most successful predators on the planet. They hunt great white sharks. They coordinate ambushes like wolves. They've even been documented beaching themselves on purpose just to catch seals. These animals are extraordinary. We've been studying them for over 50 years. And there is a population of orcas that scientists have never seen eat anything. What are they eating? Where do they go? What do they even do? Nobody knows. And they're not alone. There are at least 10 distinct types of orca roaming this planet, and almost every single one of them is a mystery science hasn't cracked yet. We've tagged them, tracked them, recorded thousands of hours of their calls. We can identify individual animals just by the shape of their dorsal fin. And still, the more we look, the less we understand. Because these animals aren't just different populations. They might be becoming different species. Here's what's wild. We don't even agree on how to classify them. The same animal, orca, killer whale, Orcinus orca, can look completely different, speak a different dialect, eat a completely different diet, and never interact with its so-called cousins living just a few miles away. It's like discovering that golden retrievers and wolves were the same species, and nobody caught it for half a century. In this video, we're breaking down the most bizarre orca ecotypes on Earth, what makes each one strange, what the science actually says, and why this question matters way more than you'd think. Let's start with the one that broke scientists' brains first. Meet the residents. These are probably the orcas you grew up thinking about, the ones from Free Willy, the ones at SeaWorld, the ones you can actually find on a whale watching tour out of Seattle or Victoria, BC. Residents live in tight family groups. Matriarchs, their kids, their grandkids, and they stay together for life. We're talking multi-generational pods that have been documented for over 50 years straight. They eat almost exclusively salmon, specifically Chinook salmon, the biggest, fattiest ones they can find. And here's the twist, they're picky. They'll pass up a school of herring to wait for one Chinook. That specificity is actually a problem, because Chinook populations in the Pacific Northwest have been collapsing for decades. Dams, overfishing, habitat loss, and the southern resident orca population down to around 73 individuals as of the latest count. They're listed as endangered. So why don't they just eat something else? That's a great question, and the answer tells you everything about why ecotypes matter. We'll talk about it in a few minutes, and it will extremely surprise you. Now, forget everything I just said about salmon. Because the transients, also called Bigg's orcas, named after the Canadian researcher Michael Bigg, who first described them, are completely different animals in almost every measurable way. Transients eat marine mammals, sea lions, harbor seals, dolphins, porpoises, and yes, other whales, including grey whales, including humpbacks. They are the only predator on Earth known to attack and kill baleen whales. They travel in smaller groups, usually 2 to 6 animals. They're quieter underwater because their prey can hear them. Residents are loud, transients are silent. Same species, opposite strategies. And here's the part that gets really weird. Residents and transients share the same waters. They run into each other, and they completely ignore one another. No aggression, no interaction. They've been watching each other for thousands of years, and they behave like different species already. Genetically, they're not quite there yet, but culturally, behaviorally, ecologically, they crossed that line a long time ago. But now, we are going to see orcas that are even more dangerous. Then there's the third North Pacific ecotype, the offshores, and we know almost nothing about them. Not because they're rare, but because they live so far out at sea that studying them is a logistical nightmare. What we do know, they travel in large groups, sometimes over 100 animals. They eat sharks, not just small ones. They've been documented with Pacific sleeper shark teeth marks worn into their own teeth, which suggests long-term shark predation across their whole lives. They also have smaller, more rounded dorsal fins than residents or transients, a physical difference that likely comes from diet. Shark skin is like sandpaper. Years of biting sharks reshapes your teeth. Maybe your whole body. That's evolution happening in real time, in a population of animals we've barely studied. But these aren't the most mysterious orcas yet. Okay, I need you to look at this. This is a type D orca, first photographed in New Zealand in 1955. Scientists thought the photos were a mistake, a deformed individual, maybe. Then, in 2019, researchers finally encountered a live group in the sub-Antarctic Ocean and collected the first tissue samples. The results aren't fully published yet, but preliminary findings suggest type D may be genetically distinct enough to qualify as a separate species. Think about what that means. We may have had a completely unknown species of killer whale swimming in the open ocean, and we only found out 60 years after the first photograph. Because they live in one of the most remote, storm-battered stretches of water on Earth. And here's the kicker. We still don't know what they eat. We've never seen them hunt. We have almost no acoustic recordings of their calls. For one of the most powerful predators in the ocean, we know almost nothing. Down in Antarctic waters, the specialization gets even more extreme. There are at least 3 distinct ecotypes living in the same ocean, and they've carved out completely separate niches to avoid competing with each other. Type A. Type A orcas are large open ocean hunters that target minke whales. They look like the classic orca poster, big, bold, textbook black and white. Type B. Type B comes in 2 flavors. Large type B hunts Weddell seals using a coordinated wave washing technique. They line up and swim together to create a wave that washes the seal right off an ice floe. It's been filmed. It looks choreographed. It is choreographed. They teach it to their young. Small type B, meanwhile, lives near the Antarctic Peninsula and eats. We're not entirely sure. Penguins, probably. Some fish. They're smaller, more agile, less studied. Type C. Type C is the smallest orca ecotype known. They live in pack ice and eat Antarctic toothfish, also known commercially as Chilean sea bass. They have a distinctive eye patch that's tilted forward, unlike any other ecotype, and their calls are completely different from every other Antarctic type. 3 types. Same ocean, 0 overlap in diet or behavior. Scientists call this niche partitioning, but that phrase makes it sound planned and orderly. What it actually looks like is thousands of years of one species quietly becoming many. So here's the question. Scientists have been circling for decades. Are these different ecotypes or different species? The honest answer is, We don't have a clean definition of species that everyone agrees on. The most common one is that they can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. But this doesn't map neatly onto orca ecotypes because we've never observed interbreeding. Not because it can't happen, because they don't, by choice, by culture. And that's what makes orcas so philosophically interesting, honestly. They may be undergoing cultural speciation, where the barrier between populations isn't genetics, it's learned behavior. Passed from mother to calf, generation to generation, for so long that the two populations don't even recognize each other as kin anymore. Remember that question I left open earlier? Why don't resident orcas just eat something else when the salmon runs collapse? Because they don't know how. Hunting salmon is culture, it's identity. The knowledge of how to hunt, what to hunt, where to go. It's not instinct, it's taught. And if it's lost, it's gone. That's why the southern residents going extinct isn't just a conservation story, it's a cultural extinction, a language dying, a way of being in the ocean, vanishing. There are at least 10 types of orca. Probably more we haven't found yet, since Type D sat unidentified for 60 years. Each one is a different answer to the same question. How do you survive in the ocean? Each answer shaped over thousands of years, stored not in DNA, but in behavior, in culture, in calls that only certain families know. And science is only just beginning to understand what that means. If they keep diverging for another 10,000 years, what becomes of them? And what does it say about us that the most successful predator on Earth is being undone not by a stronger predator, but by the slow disappearance of the one thing their culture taught them to eat? I'm curious what you think. Drop it in the comments. Are orcas one species or many? And if you want to go deeper on any of these ecotypes, I'll link the best resources in the description. Thanks for watching.